Hello and welcome to the North Coast Journal Preview. This is a show where we take a look at what's coming to this week's edition of the North Coast Journal. I am your host, Tanya Shrum, and we are joined by our arts and features editor, Jennifer Fumiko Cahill. Welcome.
Hey, Tanya. Happy Turkey Day to be. We're just on the cusp of it now as we record.
Turkey's Eve.
That's right.
And I hope everybody's enjoying this thing we call sunshine that we were granted for our Turkey Week.
Very disorienting. Yeah.
I know. I saw somebody say, like, we had a bomb cyclone. Now it's trying to be summer all over again.
I know. I give up. I give up. Staying in and eating.
Exactly. And you also need to prepare for that other holiday around the corner. And that's what's coming to this week's cover. Jennifer,
Segue.
fill us in on the cover story this week.
All right. This week, look ye and despair, for it is the gift guide, another mammoth gift guide. Our production department is right now somewhere curled up in the fetal position because we produced early editions during, for the holiday deadline, early editions for Enterprise, for the North Coast Journal, and the Mighty Mighty Gift Guide, which is our every year promotional thing that the advertising department does with the art department. And they put their heads together and basically create do you remember the Sears catalog?
I think we're dating ourselves, but of course I remember the Sears catalog.
Yes, you, me, and everyone else who emerged from the caves. Going through the catalogs at Christmas time used to be my thing, man. And the cool thing about the North Coast Journal gift guide is that it's all local stores and things, while all the big box madness that happens around, Black Friday and the TV ads and everything, it's probably a good time, especially since we're about to get into some economic craziness. It's a good time to shop local, and also shopping local means, I know, something, economics, keeping dollars in the county, yes, but also keeping dollars away from creepy billionaires and getting
None
to
of
see
that
the people.
money's going to some random tariff.
So true. But now, when you go and shop local or something, you end up seeing the people that you live in the county with, and you end up running into people not in that annoying way like in the supermarket, but running into, shop owners you haven't seen and stuff like that. So it's delightful. So I will once again just go over quickly with you the trends that are happening this year. My favorite thing. First, let me talk about footwear. When I moved to Humboldt County, I realized that much like prison, you have to join a gang. And that is either, if you're a woman, you need to either join the UGG gang or the Dansko gang. And the UGGs and the Danskos are still going strong. I feel like they will be a thing in the North Coast forever. I don't see them ever disappearing, right?
There's nothing like a fuzzy clog to get around the backyard on a rainy day.
Right? I mean, their power, they have us in a chokehold, the Danskos and the UGGs, and they are well represented in this catalog. Some of the other things that I'm noticing as a trend are two important little semi-nature creatures. One, mushrooms. I say sort of creatures because they are represented in every possible form. I know we talked mushrooms last year. The mushroom power continues. There are ornaments, there are plates, there are outfits, there is jewelry. Sometimes there is crossover because you might find a little plate with a slug on it, a banana slug, now the state slug of California. But you might also find a little slug sitting on top of a mushroom. And we love the poisonous looking ones, the red cap with little white spots. Those are our favorite. P.S. If you are interested in mushrooms and you cannot get enough of them, Mark Larson has a really great story on the mushroom fair this week in the paper also.
Yes, that's a good time.
Yes. And so mushrooms, fancy pajamas. Listen, I recently decided to give my life over to fancy pajamas. Huge improvement in my quality of life. I strongly recommend it. Some of the other things, I'm noticing alpaca everywhere. Alpaca as a little stuffed animal, alpaca as a fancy blanket, alpaca as like socks. Alpaca, alpaca, alpaca. Your llama may be here for the drama, but the alpaca is here for the fracas. Some of the cool things that I saw, lots of things made with wood, which is very Humboldt, of course. A thing that I always am looking at in many hands, and I have bought for people, I was not paid for this ad, is the redwood pens and things. So like all the cutting boards that people are making with mixed woods, cutting boards, pens, fancy chopsticks and things. And there are a cool pair of wooden knives in the gift guide this year that are worth a look. And also I noticed that over at Little Japan, they have this like takeout container bowl so that the food you cook at home can be eaten out of a takeout container shaped thing. Yeah, don't even bother going in. I'm going to go and buy them all. But there's all kinds of cool stuff, and also like jewelry, like really cool, interesting jewelry. And it is the kind of thing that makes me feel good about shopping in Humboldt, because things are made by artists. Things are made by local people. You know, we've got gorgeous native beadwork and things like that, and just really beautiful artisan crafts like ceramics and carving and all this stuff. You really could do a fully non-corporate holiday and just treat yourself and treat other people while really supporting the arts in Humboldt, which is very, very cool in my book.
I encourage everybody to get the gift guide because there are just delightful items for every taste.
Including those crazy, by the way, this is not an artisan craft thing, but can we talk about the crazy glowing mask thing?
Yes.
Listen, I don't know if they work. I don't know what they do, but you put on this crazy mask that makes you like part witch, part Jason, Friday the 13th hockey mask thing, and it's supposed to make you gorgeous. I don't know.
It's some like exposure to UV rays, to smooth out.
I just feel like it will make people leave me alone.
That
like if
that
you
might
see
be
a woman,
for sure.
Yeah, if you see a woman and she's just wearing this kind of glowing hockey mask, you're gonna maybe ask somebody else what time it is. I don't know.
I got a glow-in-the-dark Jason mask at Halloween, and yeah, that was quite effectively frightening for the trick-or-treaters.
Nobody stops you when you're shopping at the co-op. You can get through it without being interrupted. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. That's a bonus.
No, I was just going to say that there is genuine, I stand by my saying that there is something for everyone in this catalog. And again, the folks who put it together, they just went above and beyond. And I'm always impressed with the amount of work our production department does, but they really put in the work over this last, week and a half. It's been incredible.
Well, and it's a wonderful way to encourage folks to support the local economy for sure. There's nothing better than, being able to get, sometimes it's hard to get the local gifts and then bother shipping them elsewhere, but especially if nothing else for your local friends and family. Okay. Shop local. Well, and with that, before we move on to the rest of this week's journal, do you have anything you'd like to wrap up with the gift guide? Haha.
Haha. Well, I did already mention Mark Larson in, the mushroom thing, but I also want to plug that there is a really great personal essay from Linda Stansberry about small good things. And it really sort of made me think about how this is a time of consumerism and craziness. And we're already a lot of us are in such a state of turmoil. Maybe toning down the corporate consumption and getting quiet and really focusing on, as she points out, small good things, not in a Martha Stewart way, more in a Raymond Carver way. I really would like everybody to give that a read and, yeah, just enjoy.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to come back to something else that you put together for us this week. But first, we have to highlight Thad's work. Would you like to fill us in on this amazing tribute that Thad wrote this week?
Listen, as much as I would like to badmouth Thad while he is away out of town, sadly I can't, because this is a really beautiful and moving portrait. Some of you may know personally, but likely most of you know her name, Patty Berg. Patty Berg passed away November 19th at the age of 82, and by all accounts was an absolute dynamo. And she was a North Coast State Assembly representative, and the breadth of her work over the years is kind of phenomenal. To give you a little taste of it, in the beginning of Thad's column, he talks about her being Humboldt County's first sex ed instructor, the founding executive director of Area 1 Agency on Aging. She promoted the suicide bill, the assisted suicide bill, and co-founded the Redwood Jazz Festival. This is the broadest resume.
That just scratches the surface.
That's just the surface. Yes, absolutely. Connie Stewart was one of the people that Thad interviewed, and she knew her from back when she was running for state assembly. And Connie Stewart, you may know, as the former mayor of Arcata, said that a common nickname for her was Honey Badger because she was fearless. Also small. Shout out to small, aggressive women.
Yes, she may have been a manzanita in stature, but her influence and how she touched lives is redwood sized for sure.
It's incredible. She was apparently just really instrumental in getting Six Rivers Planned Parenthood off the ground. She worked with the National Organization of Women. She championed women's issues in the legislature. Liz Murgia, who is one of the personal friends that Thad talked to, you talk about somebody who has walked the walk in public and in their personal life. She was working on marriage equality, and her friend Liz Murgia said, "Oh yeah, my brother wants to get married. It's really hard to find somebody to do it." And Patty is like, "I'll do it." And she went and officiated a ceremony right off the side of the assembly chambers. It's really, I feel actually kind of bereft not having known her, reading through all of this. I've heard of her over the years, but to see all of this compiled in one place is really quite something. And just to give you a sense, she apparently retired from the Area 1 Agency on Aging. And her friends were sort of saying, "Oh, this is good, finally," because she works too hard. She needs to relax. And then she was like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to run for assembly." And had this entire second act that was just huge and so impactful all over the North Coast and honestly beyond. She spent that time not sitting in an office somewhere, but constantly on the road, driving around, meeting constituents, talking to people. And everybody that Thad talked to was talking about how she had this boundless energy. She was described as an energizer bunny, and she made it through, to give you an idea of the period that she was working in the assembly. He says Berg served through a tumultuous period in the legislature that saw a budget crisis, massive cuts, a recall election, and action hero Arnold Schwarzenegger take over the governorship. Wild times in California, wild times. And there are just so many moments around Humboldt County that she had impact over, like working against having a Walmart on the waterfront and things like that. This was kind of a fun part when she, when she was working on, different issues. One of the people that she interviewed was like kind of amazed that she was willing to work on these unpopular things like assisted suicide. And Thad had interviewed this gentleman and called me immediately after, and he said, yeah, it was incredible. He said, well, that's going to, he was coming on as like a communications, like PR person. And this guy said to her, well, this is going to be a really unpopular position. Like, what are you going to do about that? And she was like, oh, that's your problem. It was like, she was going to do what she was going to do. And it wasn't a question of whether it was popular. So something like needle exchange or elder care, those things were things that she cared about, that low income housing, things that mattered to her. And it wasn't important whether or not she could run on it. It was important whether she should be doing it. I was mistaken before. It was Susan Block whose brother she did the ceremony for. But the thing that comes at the end of his story is what everybody kept saying over and over again. Murgia says it, but she was such a tiny little force, but boy, was she determined. And apparently for all of this labor, all of this work, all of this determination, she was still fun. It's an incredible life, and I think everybody should read it. And, if we have things to be thankful for on the North Coast, certainly Patty Berg's impact on all of us here is one of those things.
I too never got to meet her in person, but one of the people that is just the dearest person in my life worked for her alongside Connie for years. And to reread this article was like reliving history that she had shared with me as she was working with Patty. And I know she dodged Thad for the interview quite effectively, but I'm going
that's no small feat, by the way.
No,
congratulations.
She shared with me, and I think Thad would also echo that one of the multitudes of things that were so important about Patty Berg is how many chances she gave to us kids, when they were coming up. And now, all these years later, they all have these flourishing careers that they can trace back to maybe a phone call with her or her just giving them a chance with their poli-sci degree. And so I'm a little verklempt. Just I wish I had ever had a chance to shake her hand in person, because she has touched so many people's lives in this community, and we should be grateful for her and aspire to a life so well lived.
So true.
And with that, I guess let's raise the glass to Patty when we're around our table this week, and we're going to talk about what else we're going to be doing at the table this week.
There's nothing I like more than transitioning from this woman's impactful, fantastic legacy to my story on turkey sandwiches.
It's the best segue I could create there before I start getting misty.
Well, here is the thing. I'll tell you what, I am not a Humboldt local. I'm not native to Humboldt. I've been here for more than a decade, but I am still discovering your ways, Humboldt County. Among them, the turkey sandwich. I wrote about turkey sandwiches this week, the leftover sandwich, the official meal of the days after Thanksgiving. 3 to 4 days after Thanksgiving, folks.
And then get rid
Don't
of
make
it.
it a week. Yeah, freeze it. Freeze for leftovers. But if you cannot wait, because some of us cannot wait, or if someone says, you know what, we're doing a ham this year, and you're like, cool. And you need that leftover turkey sandwich with the stuffing and everything, or the dressing, I should say. There are many many restaurants. I love a diner Thanksgiving sandwich, but we went and sampled a bunch of sandwiches from all over the town and mostly like northern Eureka. We did not go south, so you'll have to hit me up if you know about a secret turkey sandwich. But we tried the grab and go variety, not the sit down restaurant variety. And after trying a bunch of them and honestly getting a little dizzy from eating so much turkey sandwich in the office, I pulled everybody in.
It's all the tryptophan.
All the tryptophan. The day was useless after that. But we tried so many sandwiches and we came up with what we think were the best 3. And I say the best 3, but I'm not choosing a number 1 because we want different things. And one of the things that we evidently want differently on the East Coast, where I grew up, is we don't put cream cheese in that sandwich. I lost my mind the first time I was given cream cheese in a leftover sandwich. I was like, what witchcraft is this? Who are you? And also here it's on sourdough. And here, to quote one of my favorite Warner Brothers cartoons, what, no gravy? Apparently there's no gravy. I have strong feelings. I feel that gravy should either be in the sandwich, served on the side like a French dip situation, or I'm ready to open my mind to dipping the whole sandwich like a pambazo. My DMs are open. Yeah. So we tried a few. The most simple, minimalist queen of nostalgic Thanksgiving sandwich is over at Old Town Coffee and Chocolates in Henderson. They don't have it in the Old Town location. Okay. Keep that in mind. It is just simple cranberry, sliced breast meat, and it's not the deli breast meat. It's, sliced breast meat that comes apart like not reformed rubbery chicken. And stuffing that's very like stovetop stuffing, and I mean that in a good way. You know what I mean. People who crave stovetop stuffing, Pringles, sometimes powdered mashed potatoes. We love it. It's delightful. The second sandwich that really spoke to us was the Co-op's grab and go hot table sandwich. It is not at the deli counter. It is over where where you could actually get a carved turkey and sauce and gravy dinner at the hot table. There are little wrapped panini sandwiches that are the cran pepper turkey sandwich. It has cranberry, a sort of chunky cranberry, hot turkey, Monterey Jack, we're adding cheese, and sliced pickled jalapenos. It's delightful, right? A little change up, a little something, a little zip. And as I note in the story, it is for those of us who are also spicy and pressed at the holidays. Finally, for those of you who are looking to go big, those of you who have nothing to do for the rest of the day, Murphy's has a big old sandwich. We tried the one in Cutton. I imagine the same kind of sandwich is served everywhere, but you know how it is, counter to counter. The one at Cutton, I can tell you, is a mammoth. It is a big, cream cheesy, stuffing filled, just train wreck of a turkey dinner on a Dutch crunch roll. And for those of us who are going to do Thanksgiving big and messy, I salute you, and I salute the sandwich.
All right. Well, thanks for compiling that data for us. And thank you, Jennifer. Everybody send your sandwiches to Jennifer's DM so she can approve or disapprove.
Yes, I'm taking photos.
That's going to wrap up our time for this week in the all ladies throwdown turkey edition. And the current edition of the North Coast Journal is available on newsstands now. Pick it up, read it cover to cover, or of course you can find it online at northcoastjournal.com. I am Tanya Schrum. Thanks for being with us and staying informed and supportive and well-fed this week here in our North Coast community.